100 proofs the Israelites were white by True Fids.
Bitch ass, pussy ass,
Number 1. Adam and Eve. According to Genesis 2.7, Adam was formed from the dust of the ground. Let's examine this. The soil in regions of the world are often rich, dark, and fertile. One type of soil common on earth is clay soil, which has a rich reddish-brown, ruddy tone. The word for dust here is afar, meaning dust, clay, earth, or mud. The Hebrew word being used for ground here is adamah, meaning soil, ground, earth. The root of this word is Adam, to be ruddy. Many Eurocentrists use this as an excuse to call Adam white because only white people can have reddish skin due to blushing skin, but this argument is silly. The word ruddy, when referring to an animal or insect, always refers to a reddish-brown color. Every single animal that has been classified as ruddy is reddish-brown. Even in the 1537 Matthew Bible, the word ruddy is substituted with the word brown.
perfect.
Through the use of the Hebrew word adamah, we can infer that Adam was melanated, of a healthy, reddish-brown skin tone, and this would be the same case from Eve, who was formed from the rib of Adam. Let's be logical. From a genetic standpoint, how would Adam and Eve being white work? White parents cannot produce a black child, so how did black people come to be? Genetic inheritance and variation explains that two black parents can produce offspring with varying skin tones, from fair skin to very dark brown or black. In contrast, two white parents cannot naturally produce a black child as they lack the genetic information necessary for producing significant melanin, the pigment responsible for darker skin. The first humans had to be black. Number 2. Kush. One of the earliest regions mentioned in the Bible is Kush, located in what is now Sudan, along the Nile River. The Kushites are historically documented as a powerful, advanced, and undeniably black African civilization. The Bible identifies Kush as a descendant of Ham, one of Noah's sons, further reinforcing the African origins of some of the earliest people mentioned in Scripture. I'm sure we've all heard the racist, Eurocentric Christian doctrine that all black people are descendants of Ham, and we'll speak more on that stupidity later.
You stupid.
Number 3. Noah and his 3 sons. The Bible presents Noah's 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, as the progenitors of the human race post-flood. Now, we know that Kushites, who are black Africans, came from Kush, who was the son of Ham. It is accepted that Kushites were black, which would make Kush black. And as mentioned before, racist Eurocentrists say all black people came from Ham, meaning Ham must have been black, as his son was black.
You triggered my trap card.
But wait, if Ham was black, that would make his brothers black too. Which would also imply that Noah was black.
You need to leave!
Now those who read the Apocrypha would see this as an moment because Enoch describes Noah's body as white as snow and red as a rose, and his hair as white as wool. To you, I say this. Listen very carefully. Noah was an albino black man. Albino people can produce melanated children. Noah, an albino black man, had 3 black children, unless we want to claim that the Hamites in Africa and Kushites in Sudan were white people. Number 4. Mizraim, Ham's son. So we all agree that Ham was a black man, even the racists. This means that his sons would have been black also. We know that one of his sons, Kush, was 100% black, which would make Kush's brothers black. Mizraim is one of Kush's brothers. Mizraim, or Misr, is Egypt. So the progenitor of Egypt descends from a black man, Ham, which means the original ancient Egyptians were black.
Distance from the forehead to the back of the skull is long in relation to the overall height of the cranium, and that's something that you see quite frequently in certain populations, one of which is ancient Egyptians. Another would be black African groups, well, also certain populations, one of which is ancient Egyptians. Another would be black African groups.
Ancient Egyptians, black African groups.
In a study of 2,861 Egyptian skulls spanning the pre-dynastic and all dynasties, well over 95% of Egyptian skulls were classified as dolichocephalic. Strong dolichocephaly is typical of southern Nilotic African populations, such as the Kalenjin and Maasai, whose cephalic index of 73% is virtually identical to that of the ancient Egyptians. Yet this index is so far from the norms of Eurasian brachycephalic skulls that they would be considered a deformity within such populations.
Kush and Mizraim are brothers from the same father and mother, so there's no way to get past this. Sorry. So, we know that Egypt is a brother of Kush, but for some reason they want us to believe that the Egyptians were either white or Arab, completely ignoring the fact that one of the main reasons Egypt looks the way it does today is because of multiple invasions by Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Hittites, Assyrians, and many more. We know the truth.
What's wrong with you, bro? What the heck? You tripping, bro? You tripping!
Number 5. Shem and Elam. So just to recap, so far we have proven that Adam and Eve were 100% black, all the way down to Noah, who was an albino black man, who had 3 black children of the same mother, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. We know they are black because Kush, a descendant of Ham, is the progenitor of the Kushites, who are 100% a black people. If Ham is black, so are his brothers. We have also proven the ancient Egyptians were black due to Mizraim being a brother of Kush, both descendants of Ham. Through this process, we have proven Ham, Shem, and Japheth are black. Now let's focus on Shem. Shem is the forefather of the Semitic people, and the Israelites are a Semitic people descending from Shem. We can prove Shem is black through his son, Elam. Take a look at these pics. These guys look pretty black, right? Yeah, they're Elamites, from Elam, who is from Shem. So now, you don't have to just take my word for it. These are real-life depictions of Elamites, from Elamites themselves, direct descendants from Shem. According to Sir Harry Johnston, who was a renowned white British explorer, botanist, artist, colonial administrator, and linguist, in his book, The Negro and the New World, he says, the Elamites of Mesopotamia appear to have been a negroid people with kinky hair and to have transmitted this racial type to the Jews and Syrians. George Rawlinson, another white British renowned scholar, historian, and Christian theologian, said in his 1864 book, The 5 Great Monarchies of the Ancient Eastern World, that the Elamites' heads were covered with short, crisp curls. The eye was large, the nose and mouth nearly in same line, the lips thick. Using logic and common sense, if Elam was black like the Elamites, his brothers would have been black too. Yes, that means Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram were black. Number 6. Abraham the Hebrew and Ur of the Chaldees. Abraham is a descendant of Shem, who we have proven is black through Arphaxad. Abraham is known as the father of the Hebrews, born in the city of Ur, which was in a country called Chaldea. Chaldea was located in what is known as Mesopotamia, and Mesopotamia was the biblical land of Shinar, also known as Sennar or Sumer in earlier times, and in later times known as Babylonia. Chaldea and Babylonia are practically synonymous terms in the Bible. Now, I have a theory on where true Mesopotamia was, and why the term Mesopotamia is a misnomer, but we'll leave that for another video. All that matters now is that an argument can 100% be made for an African relationship with biblical Chaldea that has been noticed by me and also by many scholars. In biblical genealogies, Kush and Mizraim are brothers who we have proven are black, and Kush begat Nimrod, who was the king of Babylonia or Chaldea. Professor Charles Seignobos of the University of Paris, in his book History of Civilization, sheds some light on the color of the Chaldeans. It is within the limits of Asia and Africa that the first civilized people had their development. The Egyptians in the Nile Valley, the Chaldeans in the plains of the Euphrates. They were people of sedentary and peaceful pursuits. Their skin was dark, the hair short and thick, the lips strong. Nobody knows their origin with exactness, and scholars are not agreed on the name to give them. Some term them Kushite, others Hamites. Sir Arthur Keith, a white British anatomist and anthropologist, said that the Sumerians were dolichocephalic, a skull characteristic predominantly found in black African groups. George Rawlinson stated that the Chaldeans were predominantly Kushite. He was convinced that there was a relationship between the Sumerians and Africans. Sir Godfrey Higgins, a white English magistrate and landowner, said the Chaldees were originally Negroes. The Sumerians left no doubt to how they viewed themselves racially. The inhabitants of Sumer called themselves Sag-Gigga, meaning the black-headed people. So how come everyone's saying there's a relationship between an African population and the Chaldeans? It seems Abraham apparently liked to live among some black-looking Chaldeans, a black population with a black king. Number 7. Ishmael and Isaac. We have already proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that the ancient Egyptians were black, both from an empirical and biblical standpoint. Now, Abraham's wife Sarah had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. Because Sarah could not conceive, she asked Abraham to have children by Hagar. So if the Egyptians were black, making Hagar black, And Abraham was born in a land full of people who were black, with a black king, and we know he did not stand out, making Abraham black. What color would their child Ishmael have been?
Oh, what are you doing? You're not the thinker.
Yes, black. I can already hear the angry Arabs saying, let's use another witness, Ishmael's son, Kedar. The name Kedar is a Hebrew name that means dark or swarthy, coming from the Hebrew root word kaudar, which means to be ashy, that is, dark-colored, to mourn, and to be black. So a black Egyptian and a black Hebrew have a child, and then that child calls one of his children Kedar, which is associated with blackness. Kedar, Ishmael's son, likes being black so much that even his tents are black just like him. If Ishmael is black, and he shares the same father as Isaac, and Sarah, Abraham's wife, was from the same father as Abraham, it makes perfect sense to conclude that Isaac was also black. This conclusion will only be more solidified as we go further down the lineage to the Israelites, who were also black. Number 8, Jacob and Esau. So we have established that Isaac was black due to him coming from a black father who had black descendants before him. As mentioned before, the case for Isaac being black will be made stronger after all the evidence for Jacob and his 12 sons is shown. With some of these proofs, you can work forwards through lineages for evidence, but you have to also work backwards using descendants. Be patient, it'll be worth it. Isaac, a black man, married Rebekah, who was the daughter of an Aramean, descending from Aram, who was a brother of Arphaxad, and Elam, who were black as proven earlier. This would make the Arameans black, making Rebekah most likely black, which we will also prove through Jacob, his 12 sons, and through Esau too. Jacob and Esau are twins from the same mother and father, Isaac and Rebekah, both black parents. When Esau was born, Esau was described as red all over like a hairy garment. This is where you get the Hebrew Israelite camps who scream,
Man, fuck all these pussy ass niggas talking about, man. That's the Esau, man. Gotta get these Elamites gone, man. Come on, get Sorella, man. 144K adventure, man.
The Hebrew word being used for red here is admoni, which also means ruddy, and as explained earlier, the term ruddy has always been synonymous with a reddish-brown tone or complexion. I do not agree that the original progenitor of the Edomites, Esau, was white. It makes no sense if Jacob and Esau were twins to have one be completely black and one completely white. No, both Esau and Jacob were black. However, they varied greatly in complexion, Esau having a reddish-brown tone of skin, and Jacob most likely having a darker complexion. We will revisit Jacob, whose name is later changed to Israel, with more witnesses to prove without a shadow of a doubt of his blackness. But for now, because we know that Esau was black, and so were his parents, Jacob also had to be black. Number 9, Jacob's wives and 12 sons. Jacob, later known as Israel, originally had 2 wives, who were both daughters of Jacob's mother's brother, Laban. Their names were Rachel and Leah. As these sisters were from Jacob's mother's brother Laban, and we know Rebekah was black, Laban would have been black, and his daughters would have been black also. Leah first had 4 children by Jacob, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. As Leah is black, and Jacob is black, their children would have been black. Rachel was barren, so she gave her servant Bilhah to Jacob, so Rachel could raise children through her. The Bible does not explicitly state where Bilhah is from. However, since Bilhah was given to Rachel by her father, Laban, as a servant, it is assumed that Bilhah was from the same area where Laban and his family lived, among black Arameans, making Bilhah black, which we will prove later on through their children. Bilhah becomes the 3rd wife and has Dan and Naphtali by Jacob. As Bilhah is black and Jacob is black, these children would have been black. Leah then gives her servant Zilpah to Jacob, so Leah could raise more children through her. Again, the Bible does not explicitly state where Zilpah is from, but we can make the same educated assumption that Zilpah was from the same land of Laban and the 2 sisters, Haran, in Mesopotamia, which we have already proved was a land full of black people, making Zilpah black. She becomes the 4th wife and gives birth to Gad and Asher. Afterwards, Leah became fertile again and gave birth to Issachar, Zebulun, and Dinah, Jacob's only daughter. Again, as Leah is black and Jacob is black, their children would have been black. Yah remembered Rachel, who gave birth to Joseph, and later Benjamin. You get the gist. They were black. These are the 12 sons of Israel, who are the heads of the 12 tribes. All of these 12 sons were black, and we can prove it both biblically and extra-biblically. I'm about to cook. Number 10, Moses and the Levites. We will prove all 12 sons of Jacob were black, and so were their descendants using the Bible. We will first start with the tribe of Levi, and we will use Moses to prove this point. Moses was a Hebrew Israelite from the tribe of Levi, born from a Levite mother. This was during the time the Israelites were enslaved in the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh was having Hebrew babies executed. To avoid this fate, Moses' mother hides Moses in a reed basket and pushes him onto the Nile. He is discovered by the Pharaoh's daughter and is adopted by her, which the Pharaoh also accepts. But wait, we know the Egyptians were a black people, and for Moses to have been adopted by Pharaoh's daughter, without Pharaoh immediately recognizing Moses as a Hebrew baby and having him killed, he must have looked similar to the Egyptians. As a matter of fact, Moses is actually mistaken for an Egyptian by the Midianites in Exodus 2:19. So how could Moses, a Levite, be mistaken for an Egyptian who were a black people?
Oh, what are you doing? You're not the thinker.
Wait, there's more. We need another witness. Exodus 4:6-7. As a powerful miracle, Yah instructs Moses to put his hand on his chest area, and then when he pulled it out, Moses' hand was quote-unquote white as snow. If Moses was already fair-skinned or white, how would it have been a powerful sign for his hand to have turned just a little whiter than usual?
Wait, God just made his hand more white.
Huh?
So you mean to tell me that Moses, a white man, had his white skin turned more white as a powerful sign?
Shut up!
I think me and you both know that Moses must have had dark skin, and the power of Yah was shown by turning that dark skin white as snow. The evidence speaks for itself. Moses was mistaken for Egyptians, who we know are black, and his hand was turned white as a powerful sign. This is proof that Moses, a Levite, was a black man, which would make the members of his tribe the same, black. There are many more examples of Israelites being mistaken for the black Egyptians, which we will cover. But for now, because Moses was black, the Levites had to have been black.